What's going on, guys? It's your boy Big Hero Chris back at you with another one. If you're new to the channel, go ahead and subscribe, leave me a thumbs up, ring the notification bell, hit me up on Twitter, TikTok, the community posts. You already know the vibes, and I'm back at you with your WWE NXT New Year's Evil review. That is a mouthful, but yeah, I'm back at you with the NXT review, man. It's been a minute. I got you, I'm back, because this is a special night. It's New Year's Evil, and on top of that, The Rock appeared. He pulled up. He is live on NXT. I never thought I would see The Rock in NXT, but you know, these are crazy times we're living in. And seeing as this was the last thing that happened on the show, but I do gotta talk about this. So the night kicked off with, you know, The Rock showing up in his truck. You know, he's popping open his energy drink. He had a pretty cool moment in the back with his daughter Ava, who is the general manager of NXT. She was talking to Ethan Page, and The Rock pulled up and said, "Hey man, you're cool, I like you. I'm the final boss, but as long as NXT is around, and as long as Ava's the general manager, she's the final boss of NXT. So if you want to be cool with me, you gotta be cool with her." And Ethan Page's like, "Yeah, I'll be cool." And then The Rock slapped him on the ass. So, you know, there was that. And then the show ended with The Rock coming out. And, you know, it was The Rock just being The Rock. He addressed what happened last night on Monday Night Raw with, you know, him being buddy-buddy with Cody, him, you know, throwing shots of Terramana back with the man, you know, them breaking bread together and becoming family like they're in the Fast and Furious. And he pretty much addressed a lot of what people were saying on the internet, myself included, because I was like, y'all were like beefing a year ago, not even a year ago, like a few months ago, and now all of a sudden you're cool, you're hugging, you're drinking Terramanas together. Like, what's that all about? And The Rock more or less addressed that. He said a year ago, the people were saying stop being mean to Cody. Now this year they're mad because The Rock is being nice to Cody. So The Rock said he's always thinking 20 steps ahead and he's a long gamer. So he's pretty much saying wait and see. And I'm like, I get it, but the optics of this are really weird, because you gotta remember, it wasn't that long ago The Rock was whooping Cody's ass in front of his own bus, making this man bleed, threatening him in front of his mom, you know, talking shit about Cody's dog. And now, like, a couple months later, they're cool. So if this is leading to a match between Cody and The Rock, y'all gotta, I don't know. It's still kind of confusing, but it's The Rock, so I'll go with it. But I'm not really understanding how or why we're getting to this point. Like I said in the Raw review, it's not looking like The Rock is wrestling at WrestleMania, but you know, still leave that option open to lead to Cody versus The Rock, or Roman versus The Rock, or maybe Jacob Fatu versus The Rock, or something. I don't know, but it is what it is, man. I still love The Rock. He's still my favorite wrestler. NXT is still my favorite brand. Speaking of NXT, we have the return of Corey Graves to the NXT announced team. It is now a 3-man booth. He's been bumped off SmackDown. He's on NXT. He's calling the action. And the opening contest was between Giulia and Roxanne Perez for the NXT Women's Championship. And this was a really good match. My only thing was I wish it got a little bit more time, because it felt like right when they were about to really take off, that's when the match ended. You had Cora Jade on the outside running interference. She helped Roxanne Perez get back in the ring. And like I said, it looked like it was going to go into a whole nother gear, but then the match ended. Giulia is your new NXT Women's Champion. I wouldn't be surprised if they ran it back one more time before Roxanne Perez gets called up. But to the surprise of nobody, Giulia is indeed the new NXT Women's Champion. And NXT these past few months has really been ran by the women. They're the best part of the show. They're being showcased and featured the absolute best. Way better than on the main roster sometimes. Way better than in AEW sometimes. Like the way the NXT Women's roster has been featured is amazing, man. Shawn Michaels is doing a good job, you know, building up the women. Speaking of the women, we have a fatal 4-way match to determine who will be the #1 contender for the NXT North American Women's Championship. And the match was between Lola Vice, Kalani Jordan, Cora Jade, and Stephanie Vacker. And There was one thing I did notice. It seemed like Kalani Jordan was getting booed a little bit, and it was anytime she would go up against Stephanie Vacker. I can't tell if it's because they're trying to turn her heel or because the fans were just so into Stephanie. I think it's more of, the fans are leaning more into Stephanie. But if this is an opportunity to turn Kalani Jordan heel, I say go for it. Because, similar to what Ricochet is doing right now, Kalani Jordan really needs a character. And maybe a heel turn might be the thing that, really showcase more of her as a character. Because it's clear that she's really good in the ring. She hasn't been wrestling that long, but she is really good. So that base is covered. She just needs a little bit more of character. And, that might be able to help her take off into the next level. So as far as this match goes, it was a cool fatal 4-way. Stephanie is the new #1 contender. And it was something that NXT did a little bit later in the show that kind of had me scratching my head a little bit. But we'll talk about that when we get to it. And we'll go ahead and talk about it right now. It was a trios match between the Fatal Influence taking on the team of Shotzi, Gigi Dolan, and Tatum Paxley. And this was pretty fun, especially whenever Shotzi was involved. The crowd was really up for Shotzi. They kept chanting for her and cheering for her. And they said what their team name was on Twitter. I forgot it. But the team of Shotzi and Tatum and Gigi ended up winning the match. Shotzi ended up pinning Fallon Henley. So this leads us to the little issue I had. And I get what they're going for. But Stephanie Vacker already won the Fatal 4-Way match to become the #1 contender. And then you have Shotzi pull up to Ava and say, well, she pinned the champion, so that should make her the #1 contender. And you kind of can tell what this is leading to. Is going to be next week is going to be a match between Stephanie and Shotzi, and most likely what's going to happen, there's going to be shenanigans and it's going to lead to a triple threat match between all three. And I'm like, they could have just left it as a #1 contenders match, or not even a #1 contenders match. You could have just had Stephanie take on Fallon, and whoever wins that match wrestles Shotzi or something like that, instead of doing the typical thing they always do and make things more convoluted than it has to be. But it is what it is, man. It is what it is. We'll see what happens, but I'm more than likely it's just going to lead to a triple threat match. So NXT does love doing that, and I kind of wish they would kind of get away from it, but it is what it is. So as for the rest of the show, you had a backstage segment where Eddie Thorpe looked like he was attacked again, and they was like, yeah, I'm not falling for this. You tried it before. I don't believe you. But Eddie's like, nah, man, somebody beat my ass for real. This really happened to me, and it was not really buying it. And then later on, it was revealed that Oba Femi was actually the one that attacked Eddie Thorpe. He said he just wanted some revenge because Eddie Thorpe hit him upside the head with a crown last week. So now this week he just wanted some revenge, and he was like, alright, so it's still going to be a triple threat match. The match is still taking place. So speaking of championship matches, speaking of things that were kind of unfair, you have the the Heritage Cup sudden death match between Lexis King and Charlie Dempsey. Now, up until this point, I really didn't have too much for Lexis King. I'm like, I recognize him from AEW. He's doing his thing in NXT, but I don't really care for him one way or another. It wasn't until he did this little face turn and he started getting involved with William Regal, and he had the initial Heritage Cup match where he actually won, and William Regal cheated for him, but Lexis King didn't do anything wrong. And Ava ended up reversing the decision and giving the Heritage Cup back to Charlie Dempsey. And I was like, well, that's not really fair. That's not really fair to Lexis King. And then it hit me. These people actually got me to care for Lexis King. And that leads us to our sudden death match, where Lexis King actually legit won it this time. He won it by himself. There was a spot towards the end of the match where Charlie Dempsey was going for a leapfrog. Lexis King was trying to duck, and he accidentally low blowed him. And instead of being a good guy, he kind of just went for a pin. And it was an accident. You can tell it was an accident. It wasn't on purpose. But officially, Lexis King is now the Heritage Cup champion. And you know what, man? Good for him. Good for Lexis King. I don't even mind his beard. His beard looks weird, but he's doing the face turn thing now. And he's actually pretty decent. He's actually pretty decent in the ring. So, we'll see where this leads, Lexis King, but Yeah, you did it, NXT. You got me to care for this man. Speaking of somebody I care about, man, Javon Evans, he cut a promo. His mouth is wired shut. Ethan Page messed this man up. He broke his jaw. He can't talk. He can't eat. He has to eat food through a straw. He's pulling the old Kanye West 50 Cent through the wire type deal. And, you know, he's setting up for his eventual return where he's going to go crazy on Ethan Page. But, yeah, Javon Evans said he wants his revenge. He wants his ones. So, yeah, we'll see where this goes. But this leads us to our main event. What was supposed to be a triple threat match, for the majority of the match, was pretty much a one-on-one match between Trick Williams and the ruler, Oba Femi. And I got to be honest with you. For the time it was just Oba and Trick Williams, they were having a pretty good match. It was really fun. I'm like, I wouldn't mind seeing them just wrestle one-on-one, like, officially. But eventually, Eddie Thorpe did show up. He pulled the referee out of the ring right when Oba Femi looked like he was about to win the NXT championship. He's in there with a steel chair. He's trying to beat up both Trick and Oba Femi. Trick goes for the trick shot. He hits it on Oba Femi. It looks like he's gonna get the 1-2, but Oba Femi kicks out, and then it looks like Trick Williams is gonna go for another trick shot, but Eddie Thorpe hit him with a steel chair. Oba Femi throws Eddie Thorpe out the ring. He hits a power bomb on Trick Williams, and Oba Femi is officially your new NXT champion. So tonight was really the night of champions, the night of new champions, and Giulia, Lexis King, and now the ruler of NXT, Oba Femi. And this was fun. I really enjoyed it, man. I love me some NXT. I can't wait to see what happens next week. We're in the era of Oba Femi now, so it's looking like we're gonna get some call-ups. The Royal Rumble is next month, so I wouldn't be surprised if we see Trick Williams pull up. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Roxanne Perez pull up as well. But with that being said, guys, what did you think of this week's episode of NXT? What did you think of the Rock's promo? What do you think of the new champions? Let me know in the comment section below. Of course, as always, like, comment, and subscribe. You guys take care. Peace. I'm out. Peace.